All right, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. The trade plan is going to be pretty damn easy because it is pretty much identical to the trade plan that we had yesterday. You are just continuing that micro pullback structure. It is nearly identical. POCs are pretty much the same, value lows are the same, value highs are almost the same. It's damn near the same exact day. It's like we just restarted yesterday. So last night we said holding above 85, we're looking for 807 and 830. That is still the case. Holding below 752, we are looking for 694 and 658. 94 is that overnight low. 58 is that value low of Friday. Like I said, identical to yesterday. NASDAQ, same story. It is leaning slightly bearish compared to yesterday. Value's going down a little bit. Holding below 207, looking for 956 and 675. That's that value retrace of Friday. And then holding above 356, we're looking for 450 and 500. That is the extension level from that impulse day. We also could look at that tail extension if you want to grab that tail. That would go until, let's see here. That'd be about 605. Same exact micro pullback D-shape trade plan. So you're looking for those rotations until value builds outside of that overlapping value. A lot of sell pressure out of the gate here. Those sellers are relentless so far. Let's keep an eye on a bounce back into VWAP here. See if it wants to hold on to that value low. Value low is right here at 70. Taking out a lot of 30-minute lows here on that opening candle. Keep an eye on that low around 65. Good morning, everybody. Want a backpack and AT ordinary WW. Here is the trade plan for you guys. Jose, Michael, Future, Marcel, Scott, Patriot, Lulu, Trevor, Marcel, Nitro, Igor, Jeremy, Faraj, Greg, James, Brad, 2013. Appreciate you guys being here. Good morning. Value low, trying to find some buy pressure here. You can see it being built up, building a node there. Larry, Tamigawa, Joe, Lubomir, DS, Astro, Boat, Peter. Good morning, Adam, Fernando, Marcus, Mauser, Joan, Angelo, Krista, Banana, Fernando, C-Mac, JC, eBay. Good morning, Eagle, LDT, Gunk, and Nerd. Appreciate you guys being here. Good morning, guys. Little bottom heavy on this candle. Buyers protecting that value low. Here is that point of origin, which is also the overnight low, coming up at 64. A lot of sell pressure for a neutral day. Starting to lose that value low of Monday. If they do not quickly reclaim that, this could get very ugly for the buyers. We have some room left on ES. ES could fall down to like 52 and still be okay. But getting pretty dangerous on NQ. Pretty extended on the 1 minute here. It should be at 68 or above, and it's currently at 66. What the hell is going on with Beyond Meat? Saw a headline on Beyond Meat. It's up 1100% in like 4 days. It was at 50 cents or 60 cents. Now it's at $5.40. They must be getting bought out or something. I don't think we have any single prints left open. I think they did a good job repairing pretty much all of them. We have one single print left open on Friday, and that is pretty much it. I think actually one more on... Oh, we have one left on Monday. Okay, so we've got one at 57, and then one at around 98. But then everything else is filled in. It peaked at $7. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on there. They're probably getting bought out or something. Good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Fatal. Yeah, it has definitely become like a meme stock for sure. Point of origin holding here, trying to get back above that value low. This is like the last line of support for NASDAQ. Really needs to hold on here. Hey, good morning, Sean. Yeah, I remember people were trading the hell out of that thing during COVID. Oh, and by the way, my friend did finish the edits on the video, so it may come out later today. I do have to watch like the final draft and see if there's anything we need to change. If it doesn't need any changes, it will probably come out later today, so look out for that. If it does need changes, then it will come out tomorrow. And by the way, I did finish the edits on the Q&A, so if you guys want to watch the Q&A, it is all cut up and good to go from the last video. Keep an eye on VWAP here, bouncing back into VWAP, trying to go back into that standard rotation. It could fail to rotate if it cannot stay above VWAP here. Rotation goes until 79. Yeah, the meme stocks back then were like GameStop, AMC, you had like Beyond Meat, you had Bed Bath & Beyond. You had a couple of other ones as well. So earlier I was saying the 1 minute was extended, it's no longer extended. You bounced back into fair value here. Good morning, Dave. It is struggling on VWAP a little bit. I wouldn't say it's a failure to rotate just yet. Good morning, Adriano. Still in that micro pullback chop today, pretty much identical as yesterday. Same exact trade plan. Just continuing to build up that value area of Monday. You can see if I take an overlap here of this entire range, it's a obvious D shape, right? The POC from the past couple of days is around 78, so that's kind of the magnet that keeps pulling us back. On NASDAQ, let's take a look here. It would be around like 300. Like I said, wasn't quite a failure to rotate just yet. It was just stalling on VWAP a little bit. This rotation is nearly complete, looking for around 80. I'd say right now they're bar by bar pretty much identical, ES and NASDAQ. Some days they're kind of doing their own thing. When they do their own thing, you got to be careful. You don't really know which one's leading, so there's a lot of chop. Much smoother price action when they are following each other. Good morning, Lucio. Looks like we're not having a quick recovery on gold yet. Still going down. Here is the daily trail on gold. 4,026. It has not lost that daily trail since back in July. So it needs to hold on to that level. What can you use that for? Well, I just told you. So, like, if they're not following each other, it's going to be more dangerous to trade. It's going to be choppier, so you need to be more careful. But if they're following each other bar by bar, then it's pretty one-directional, or you can trust the signals more because you don't have one market pulling you one way and the other market pulling you another way. So the trust in the signals is obviously a lot higher because you don't have that, I guess, two-directional movement. Is liquidity low on gold? I don't trade gold actively, so I couldn't tell you. But I would think not. I think it has pretty good liquidity. You want a ram? You want a rider? You didn't finish that rotation exactly. You stalled a little bit early there. You stalled a couple points early. Was looking for 277 on NQ. And it was looking for 79 on ES. I guess ES did finish it within a margin of error, though. I'm not sure what you mean, Jake. Basically, if they're moving together, I would just feel more comfortable with whatever the market is telling you. If they're not moving together, then you got to think about it a little bit more than that. You got to say, okay, which one is leading? Which one is the right signal? Which one is probably trapping? It's just a data point. I went over this quite a bit in the Q&A on Monday. I think a lot of people misunderstand data points in trading. They think every little thing is going to give you a trading signal. Vast majority of things that I look at, they're just data points. They're not going to give me signals. They're just there to either make my signal stronger or tell me that they're weaker. I'm not ever going to take a trade because ES and NASDAQ are following or not following each other. Hey, see, but that's awesome, man. Yeah, no problems, man. I'm glad you enjoy the content. I hope your job goes well. I'm glad you were able to use it in your, I guess, your interview process or whatever, your learning process. Glad it helped you, man. That's awesome to hear. I've actually had a few people tell me that, something similar to that, like they were trying to get a job as like a quant or some type of trading job, and they were using kind of stuff that I teach on stream in their process. That's pretty funny. I appreciate that. Looks like it's trying to finish that full rotation back into the value high. It stalled a little bit early. Now you're just chopping around VWAP. Yeah, man, I appreciate supporting the channel. Appreciate you stopping by. I know you've been a viewer for a long time. I recognize your name. Appreciate you being around, man. Jake, unless you're very consistent, I wouldn't trade like that. I don't think traders that are like still in the process of finding their strategy and finding their system should be messing with their size or should be playing around with like I'll put more size into this trade but only half size into this trade because I think this trade is better. I don't think traders that are finding their consistency should be playing around with that. I think that's too much in the learning process. I think that's something that comes at the very end. When you have built your entire system, your system is consistent, then you start cherry picking a little bit, where you're like, okay, I really like these rollover tops, but maybe I don't like these VWAP trades as much. So I'm going to size more into these rollover tops. I'm going to take away a little bit of size on these VWAP trades. But yeah, I think that's like the very, very end of the process. So unless you're very consistent already, I wouldn't think about that. And how I would think about that when you guys are at that level, if anyone in here is at that level, is you have to journal a lot, right? You have to journal as much as you can to figure out which of your patterns that you're the most consistent with. Which ones have the highest strike rate, like the highest win rate? Which ones have the lowest drawdown? That sort of thing. But yeah, I think a lot of traders, they focus a lot on things that are more advanced, I guess you would say. Things that are something you should be doing once the money is already flowing in. And it messes up their process. In the beginning, it's really about just being consistent and finding a system that you can do on a daily basis. All that extra shit is not really needed. I don't size up or size down too much based on setups, but what I do is I think about, and I talk about this a lot, about how like my playbook trades, some trades happen way more often depending on what the market is doing. And then some trades kind of come and go where they happen a lot, but then they kind of turn down a little bit. So what I do is I try to recognize which trades are happening the most, and I try to focus the most on those. Because I hold my trades for so long, a lot of the times I'll take a trade and I'll miss a couple of setups during that trade because I'm holding another one. So I like to focus on those trades that are having the strongest results in that current market. So like right now, the rotations, the single prints, the VWAP trades have very high strike rates. They're doing very well. The rollover tops, not so much because the market is hitting all-time highs and you're getting those vertical distributions. That's awesome, Zach. Yeah, that's the whole goal with the channel, man, is to get you guys at a point where you feel comfortable with what you're doing, right? You're not relying on me 100%. I want to be like an indicator for you guys, right? Where you're looking at it, you're like, okay, I see what it's doing. I see what's going on here. I'll take that as a data point for my trading. But at the end of the day, you guys can do most of it by yourself, right? You're not solely dependent on me. Yeah, David. So like if you think about scaling up, like if your system does really well and you're like, okay, let's go ahead and add some more size to it. What you are doing is you're taking where you are comfortable trading and you're expanding that. So now you're not really comfortable trading. You're slightly uncomfortable, right? Because you're changing your size, you're increasing your size. So you're adding a bit of discomfort, which is obviously going to mentally affect how you trade. Now, if you do it very, very slowly, kind of like what I talk about in the sizing guide, then that discomfort should not be to the point where it's detrimental, where it's actually negatively impacting your trading, right? But it's always going to get to a point where the diminishing returns are just stacking up, and that discomfort becomes too much. And then you start making a lot of mistakes because that size is not comfortable, and there's not really anything you can do to make that size comfortable. And then you get to a point where, which I don't think anyone in here is going to get to that point, but you would get to a point where you start having liquidity issues as well. But retail traders are not going to really have liquidity issues. It's mostly a mental capacity issue. Right now, you are in a downward rotation because you failed to finish that upper rotation a couple times here. You technically finished it if you use a margin of error of a couple of points, kind of like a zone, right? So we are trying to rotate back down to that 68 level. Yeah, everybody is different. Everybody has different responses to risk, right? They respond differently to being negative in a position. Some people can take a lot more risk and increase their size very rapidly, and it doesn't negatively impact their trading. Other people have to do it very, very slowly. A big thing I would say is, I talk about this a lot with like people that trade their P&L, and they're kind of locked in with their P&L trading. By the way, NASDAQ bouncing off VWAP here, trying to go into more of a one-directional market if it can hold above VWAP. But yeah, I would say, like, if people are trading their P&L, like, they don't really focus heavily on the levels and where they should be putting their stop losses and their targets. They care more about how many points they're winning or how many points they're losing. If you're somebody who's doing that and you find it really hard to break that, you're better off, instead of sizing up, you're better off getting multiple accounts and copy trading them and keeping the size down. So like, instead of having a $300 goal on one account, you have a $100 goal on 3 accounts. Because if you're heavily focused on the P&L, looking at $100 going up and down is a lot better than looking at $300 or $500 or $1,000, right? For some reason, the way that our brains are wired, even though it's the same amount of money, it's easier for most people if you break it up into multiple sections. It's a lot easier to go for $100 on 10 accounts than it is to go for $1,000 on one account, right? So if you're somebody that struggles with staring at your P&L, think about doing that. Instead of sizing up massively on one account, just break the size up into multiple accounts. Obviously, the downside to that is you're paying more fees. You have to pay for more accounts, which is basically the only downside. The other upside to having multiple accounts is having the multiple withdrawals. You can do this with your own money as well. It's not just a prop firm thing. Like, if you have your own money account, you could break your own money up into 3 accounts or 4 accounts. Obviously, if your broker allows it. Some brokers don't let you do that. It works well for you. Much different to look at $200 drawdown across 5 accounts compared to 1,000. Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's a weird thing because, like, obviously you can just do the math in your head. It's the same notional value, but it works differently in our brains. Seeing that $200 is just not as detrimental to our trading, our mental capacity for that day. It's pretty much all benefits except for the cost, right? The big downside is obviously you're paying more money. You're paying for multiple accounts. Everything else is an upside. The other downside would be like having to monitor multiple accounts, so like making sure your trades are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like maybe the copy trader didn't put the order in right or something. That's extremely rare, but that is an issue that you have to be aware of. The market's just taking a little holiday the last couple of days, just kind of waiting for something to happen. I mean, you don't really need indicators, Martin. You can just look at the price. It's just going sideways. If you want to look at indicators, you can look at volume profile, and we can see that there is just a bunch of overlapping value, which is basically just overlapping candles over and over and over. Yeah, you don't need any fancy indicators to show that. The price does that for you. RTH is like the 9:30 open to the normal close, and then ETH is extended hours, so it's like the entire day, including the pre-market and the post-market. What trading journal am I using? I don't really journal too much anymore. When I do, I have like notes apps on my iPad. I don't use like an actual trading journal that like connects to my broker or anything like that. I use a couple apps. Let me see what they're called here. Notability is one that I use on the iPad. The other one's more of a calendar. It's not a journal. Yeah, you definitely have to journal when you're creating a system or like testing a system. It's very important. I just don't do it much anymore because I'm doing the same thing every other day. Like every single day, I'm doing the same exact thing. If I'm testing something new, then I'll journal more. If I found like a weird edge case like trade, something like that, testing a new indicator or something. But I'm not really in a testing phase in my trading. I'm just in the consistency phase where I just need to work on being consistent and doing the same thing every day. Okay, rotation has been finished. It's getting a little bit bearish down here. They're trying to pressure this value low. If they can't quickly get back above like 70 or 68, yeah, I'd say about 70. They need to quickly get back above 70 here, or it's going to start pressuring this value low, possibly into a break of balance to the downside. Is it slow because of the government shutdown? Definitely a major factor, yeah. We don't have those big data points to push us around. Couple of big block trades on the low here. You are sweeping that low with that block trade coming in at 63. One thing I was looking at yesterday, if you guys don't have access to Addis and you want to look at candles that are kind of like this, I do not recommend using TradingView for footprint that has anything to do with delta or like tick data. But if you do want to use them for volume footprint, that is okay, because their volume data is good. Their volume data is fine, it's just their buy and sell data that is not good. They're like tick data. So if you use their regular volume footprint where you select your candles, if you go into your settings, just make sure that it's set to, where is it? Right here. Make sure it's set to total and not delta or buy and sell. Total is just volume, and their volume data is good. I would also recommend just having it on its own chart because it does get a little messy if you put indicators on it. But if you compare this chart to my 30-minute footprint chart here, remember this is a volume profile on the right, but it is color-coded based on delta. But if you ignore the color and you just look at the... I can actually just change the setting real quick just to show you. Oh, that's the wrong one. That one I want to keep on delta. How do I color the right one? It's over here, I think. So if you think about this chart where it's just volume, it's pretty much identical on TradingView because it's just volume data. Their volume data is good. If you take into account if you take into account delta data on TradingView, it's bad. So just the volume footprint is okay. No, imbalances are delta data. Anything that uses delta data, like buyers and seller data, it's not good. You need to use something like Addis if you want to do that. Yeah, pure volume data, you're fine. CVD sucks on TradingView? Yes. Anything related to delta or buy and sell volume sucks on TradingView. They do not have the proper tick-by-tick data to calculate those indicators properly. How are we getting CPI on Friday? I think CPI still comes out during government shutdown, just comes out late. So it was supposed to come out, I think, last week. Now it's coming out this week. I'm not entirely sure how all the data works during the government shutdown. This happens so rarely. And it happens so rarely that it's this long that I'm not entirely sure. I'm just kind of along for the ride. Turning into a little bit of a bulldog. Half the bulldog's complete with that double bottom. Bulldogs are not great on D-shaped days. I switched from Quant Tower back to NinjaTrader back in the day. I don't remember the reason. I think I was just more comfortable with NinjaTrader. And I stopped trading crypto as actively. And then I went from NT to Addis. Because they're nearly the same, but Addis is just better. Addis is better in pretty much every way. It's not like insanely better, it's like small improvements, but there's not really anything that I could find on NT that is better than Addis. Maybe the strategy tester, but I haven't even played with the one on Addis, so I can't really compare them. But NT does have a fantastic performance center, and a strategy tester. Yeah, Quant Tower I was mainly using for crypto. And I don't actively trade crypto anymore. Tried to bounce back through VWAP here and did not like it, failing VWAP so far. Back into this lower tail, possibly breaking balance if we can't hold above 68 to 70. I couldn't tell you. I don't know their prices off the top of my head. You'd have to do some research on that. No, most likely not, Marcus. I don't like changing platforms. I only tried out Addis because a lot of my community members were telling me to try it out. They were saying that if I liked NT, I would probably like Addis. And I tried it out, and I was sold like within the first hour. I was like, okay, I'm switching everything over to Addis. And then I used them for quite a bit, and then I sent them an email like seeing if they wanted to give me like an affiliate thing, and they did, so. Now we're partnered with them on the stream. Want to use them? But yeah, I'm not really interested in new platforms, to be honest. I've been using TradingView for God knows how long. I've been using Tradeovate for God knows how long. I rarely switch over. Yeah, AMP Futures has a couple of deals with different platforms. I think they have a deal with NT as well. If you have an AMP Futures account, you get like their platform for... It's not like their full platform, but you get like most of the platform for free, I believe. Turning into a break of balance here. Failed to rotate on VWAP, now holding below the value low. Holding inside of that lower tail. Keep an eye on the value low of Monday. That's the day that we're inside of. NASDAQ already threatening to break that value low, so getting pretty dangerous on NQ here. If NQ is leading, it will start ramping up in sell pressure on this lower tail. It's not very often that you see a micro pullback for 2 straight days. It's very often a one-day pattern. You can see choppy ranges for multiple days, but not like this perfect D-shaped balance. Typically when it's a perfect D-shape micro pullback, it's only going to be for about a day. So seeing that we're having it for 2 days already is a little weird. But obviously due to the fact that we don't have these major headlines coming out that are pushing us around. Yeah, NT's fine. NT Delta data is fine. NT is nearly identical to Addis in terms of like data and stuff. I would just say if you put them side by side, you can clearly see that Addis is faster. I almost could tell immediately. Like when I pulled up Addis, the refresh rate and the speed on Addis is faster than NT. It's not a major difference. It's not going to make a difference in your trading. But it is obvious. It is faster. Addis is the fastest platform that I've used. In terms of like if there's something crazy going on, Addis does not stall. You can see every single trade coming in on Addis. Even NT, when there's like a crazy headline coming out or something, it will start to slow down a little bit. And you won't see like every trade coming in. And then TradingView is terrible. TradingView is like seconds delayed in some cases. Like it will take a couple seconds, then it will put all the data together. Okay, here is that break of balance getting one directional here. Keep an eye on the EMAs as we break balance. We always watch the EMAs to be trending one directional. We always watch the nodes to be building up. And are those nodes being protected? They haven't really established where they want to build a node yet. They're kind of still looking for that node. And there's that nasty sell-off that I was talking about on NASDAQ because you are below that value low already. Delta divergence? I don't think so. Delta is nearly bar by bar identical. I hate micro pullbacks, shouldn't even trade them. Yeah, micro pullbacks are, they're basically D-shaped days on steroids. Like if you don't like trading a D-shaped balance, you're not going to like micro pullbacks because micro pullbacks are basically like a perfect bell curve. They're like a perfect D-shaped balance. Okay, they established where they like that node. That node is 58 right now. They're picking a bad time to do this. Look at the 30-minute candle. It's going to be closing in 2 minutes with single prints if they do not hold below, or sorry, if they do not hold above like 61. Getting very extended off of that ADMA. When you're very extended off the ADMA, the two things that are more common is bouncing back into the ADMA or going sideways and waiting for the ADMA to catch up. The third thing that can happen that is not common and it's dangerous is for it to keep extending, right? You think about the gap, the difference between the price and the ADMA. It should not be that far away. As you can see on my chart, the ADMA is the teal line. Look at every single time it gets very far away from it, it pulls back into it. Because it's an extremely aggressive average. So this is what I was saying. This is the dangerous part. They're extending it even further. Here comes another block trade on the low. Even more dangerous, the fact that you're seeing block trades on the low of day. Single prints created going up to 60 to 62. Thirty-minute low sweep. Look at these block trades coming in here. And this is exactly what we were talking about with this chart right here. This is what it looks like when you are squeezing out this lower tail. They're pushing into this lower tail from Monday. Think about all the people that have stop losses in this area. That delta is exploding. Next level is 956. You could look for this overnight value here. So anywhere around this general area. But the next major level is the value high of Friday. Very one-directional. 5-minute highs being protected. Damn near the 1-minute highs are being protected. Couple of point of origins to look for down below. We have one around like the 30s, mid-30s, and then around 15. A lot of buyers coming in around 50 here. And here's that snap back to that ADMA that I was talking about. Very dangerous to be a seller when you're that far away from the ADMA. 1-minute pivot on NASDAQ. No pivot on ES. Not many rotations today. What did it give you? It gave you like 2 rotations? Maybe 3? But like I said, the micro pullback, very rare to see it happen like 2-3 days in a row. You'll get one good day most of the times. Well, POCs are not good places for stops. So that's the first mistake that you made. POCs are magnets. POCs are places that price loves to trade. You don't want to put your stop loss at a place that's somewhere price wants to be. The POC is like the #1 place on the day that price does like to be. POCs are good targets. They are not good entries. They are not good stop losses. And they are good targets because of what I just said. Price likes to go to them. They are very strong magnets. POC, point of chop, yeah, it's one way to say it, yeah. And you also said the 1-minute session volume profile. Are you referring to the entire volume profile or like a volume profile of a 1-minute candle? If you're referring to a 1-minute candle, I would not be looking at volume profiles on a 1-minute candle. That's a little bit of a... It's too low of a time frame. 30-minute sweep on the low here, trying to fill in those single prints. 2 single prints left going into 62. How to learn order flow? Take a look at my order flow playlist. I've got about 7 or 8 videos in there. Possibly even more. Yeah, I haven't watched my older volume profile videos in a while, so I'm not sure exactly what I say in those videos. But yes, you can enter on a value low short if you're breaking balance to the downside. But your stop loss is not usually going to be the POC. It's usually going to be a lot tighter than that. You're looking for more of like a rebound trade if you're shorting the value low, or you're looking for value to build outside of the value low as a node, and then they protect the node, then it goes lower. I believe I talk about that more in detail on my newer videos. A lot of my volume profile videos are like 5-6 years old at this point. I have a lot newer videos in that playlist that are like a year old, maybe 2 years old. And speaking of volume profile, the next video that comes out in our Becoming an Apex Trader series is on volume profile, and that will be on next week. Well, technically the next video for you guys is indicators, but the video next week will be volume profile. And I'll talk about stuff like that. But yeah, if I were to short a value low breakdown, my stop loss would be extremely tight. It would not be the POC. If it came down and broke the value low, rebounded into it, you could short off that if there was a lot of sell pressure there. Stop loss would be like the closest node, and then you just look for a push down, get out. There's no point in pulling it all the way to the POC, because if it fails your trade, if it invalidates your trade, you're going back into an upper rotation, which means it could go all the way back to the value high. So any stop losses above the most recent node are probably going to be taken out anyway. Is it enough? If it's not enough, watch more videos, I guess. Yeah, I've got newer videos on how to trade balanced profiles, how to trade imbalanced profiles, stuff like that. I don't know what AMT is off the top of my head. Not sure what you mean. There's too many acronyms in trading. Remembering all of them is a pain in the ass. No, I've never used Motive Wave. I have no desire to. I have no desire to change platforms again. I didn't want to change off NT. Like I said, it just kind of happened. I just checked out Addis and I liked it. There is no reason for me to change. I don't know why you guys all always ask me about like different platforms. What's wrong with Addis, right? What issue do I have with Addis that I would need to change platforms? Addis does everything that I want it to do. There is nothing that is basically missing from Addis that I would need. The only complaint I would have about Addis is like their customization settings could be a little bit more robust if I wanted to customize like every little detail. But other than that, it does everything that I needed to do, so I have no desire to look at anything else. It's not running on Mac. They have a Mac version coming out. They have a Mac version coming out, I think, later this year or next year. But I don't use Mac, so I have no desire to change off. And I can't help you guys with platforms that are Mac compatible, because once again, I don't use Mac. Hey, Liquidator, what's going on, man? Oh, auction market theory, I got you. So what was your question? If you want to learn auction market theory, I would read Dalton's books. So like Mind Over Markets or Markets in Profile, very, very good books. If you don't understand what I'm talking about with like volume profile, why it creates these shapes, why it's moving the way that it is, why does it like to rotate, why does it like to break balance, if you don't understand that stuff, I would read those books. Mind Over Markets, Markets in Profile. Yeah, at the end of the day, you guys just have to do your own research, man. You guys got to look at the platforms and see what the difference is and see which one's better for you. It's all personal preference at the end of the day. All right, we're just keeping an eye on this trend. As long as the trend continues, we're going down to 956 on NASDAQ, and we are going down to 695 all the way up to... We could mark out this level as well. $715 to like 690. Yeah, but once again, Mojo, personal preference, right? If I wanted to show every single trade, I could do that. Addis can do that. Just because this is what I'm showing on my chart doesn't mean this is the only thing that Addis can show. $15 minutes until that 30-minute closes, which will create single prints back to 49, possibly, if we are not holding above that. Only halfway through the candle, so a little bit early to say. No, I don't think heat map or book map is very helpful for my style of trading. Seems better liquidity, not as much level 2. Yeah, the level 2 is not as bad. Liquidity is about... It's about halfway to where we want it to be. So earlier, we were looking at like 10 to 20 contracts per tick. And then before that, we were at like 60 to 80 contracts per tick. So we're about halfway back to where we should be. We're at about 40 to 50 contracts per tick. Good morning, Mark. What's going on, man? If you guys enjoyed the stream, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. By the way, the video for this week, he did send me the final draft. I just need to check it, see if there's any mistakes. If there are no mistakes, it will be released later today for that third video in our Becoming an Apex Trader series. If there are some mistakes or some things that I want to change, it will come out tomorrow. Most likely, it's probably going to come out today. I'll double check and see if there's anything in the video that needs to be changed. If it does come out today, it will be around probably 4 or 5 o'clock. This one's going to be on indicators. First video was candlesticks. Second one was market structure. This one is on indicators. ADMA doing a fantastic job keeping us down here. Very one-directional. 5-minute highs being protected on every single candle. They are building value and protecting that value. They built a node here. They did not allow price to hold above it. And now we are looking for another node. I can get you a 30-day trial, Mark. So if you sign up using the link down below, just send me your email that you used to sign up. I can send it to their team. They'll get you a 30-day trial. Pretty much all of my accounts are on Trade-O-Vate. The only account I have on Addis is the account you guys are looking at right now. And I don't show my trades on stream, so I don't trade on this account while I'm streaming. All of my other accounts are on Trade-O-Vate. I've been using Trade-O-Vate for damn near my entire futures trading journey, so very comfortable with Trade-O-Vate. It runs very well on an iPad, which I use to trade. I have my, basically my trading workspace, like my terminal, on a iPad. Yeah, like I said, I just don't like change. I don't like change when it comes to platforms. I'm comfortable with Trade-O-Vate, so I use Trade-O-Vate. My main account has been there for years, and this is what I like to use. Trade-O-Vate lags so bad. I don't experience that. That might be on your end. It's not as fast as Addis, I will definitely say that. But I don't really use them for like active charting anymore. I just use them to press buttons, like for trading. They're trying to repair that 30-minute candle, by the way. Keep an eye on the 24 EMA. Yeah, I do not have a lag issue on Trade-O-Vate. They're pretty smooth for me. Am I looking for reversals? Well, I am a reversal trader, but it doesn't mean that I'm always looking for reversals of the entire trend. I could be looking for just like micro reversals to go with the trend. Today is a very one-directional day, so you don't really want to trade against this unless it was quite obvious. Here's that 24 EMA being retested. 30-minute low, or sorry, the 30-minute lower tail here has been taken out. They're trying to hold above this 48 to not create single prints here. You have 10 minutes left on that candle. I think I have a lot of new viewers finding my content. I think my my older volume profile video is blowing up again. And a few of my newer videos are getting a lot of new viewers. So if you guys are new, I know you guys have a lot of questions. I know I'm doing a lot of fancy shit. I highly recommend watching my Becoming an Apex Trader series. We're only about halfway done with the series right now. But that will get you started with like what the hell I'm talking about on stream. First video is on candlesticks. Then there's a Q&A after that. Second video is on market structure. There's a Q&A after that as well. Third video possibly coming out today, maybe tomorrow. Will be on indicators. I also recommend watching my most recent volume profile videos, not my older ones. The older ones are fine. But I would start with my newer ones. Which I need to reorganize the playlist now that I think about it. I need to put my newer videos at the top of the playlist. Because I think people are watching them like in the order that they're in the playlist, which was right back then. But now I have newer videos. And also all the order flow shit, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, watch the order flow playlist as well. The computer requirements for Addis are, I'm not sure, but it doesn't use a lot. I think nowadays for most trading platforms, you want at least like 32 gigs of RAM. And then as long as you have a pretty standard processor and graphics card, you should be fine. Trading software is very, very RAM intensive. Like browsers that you use, like your TradingView and all that other stuff. And then your charting platforms, they're very RAM intensive. So I'd say have at least 32 gigs of RAM, you should be fine. Yeah, so to not create single prints, they have to hold below 48. Or sorry, to not create them, you'd have to hold above 48. If you want to create single prints, like the sellers are in control, they would have to hold below 48. Because if you close down here, everything that's left in between will be a single print. But if you close above 48, there won't be any single prints, right? So they're trying to repair the candle. Yeah, to all my new viewers in here, I'm not trying to just like push off your questions. You guys have to understand you're trying to get answers for like 10 years worth of teaching material or content or whatever you want to call it, trading, right? I can't break that 10 years down into like one sentence. That's why I'm trying to always push you guys off into the videos, because the videos take hours and hours to explain this stuff. Trading is not easy. I'm never going to tell you it's easy. So there's no way to answer a lot of these questions in a very easy way. Long story short is you're not supposed to understand all this shit right away. Almost nobody does. It took me years to understand this shit, right? I have thousands and thousands of hours at this point. If you feel like you're not picking up on it fast enough, you got to understand how many hours it takes to get to where I am, right? Or where you want to be. Trading is pretty easy to lose money, yeah. Okay, perfect repair of this 30-minute candle so far. It is a little bit early. They have 5 more minutes to break this candle again. Yeah, it's like that old quote by one of those boomer traders. I can't remember who it was, but he was like, all right, you look at a chart. If it's starting from the top left of the chart and it's going to the bottom right of the chart, you're selling. If it starts from the bottom left and it goes to the top right, you're buying. No, I didn't have any mentors. I didn't buy any $1,000 courses or anything like that. It was mostly just trading books and trading time. I just put a lot of hours into it when I first started. I mean, I used to stream for like 16 plus hours a day back when we were trading crypto. Keep an eye on VWAP. VWAP coming up at 760 and 764. The closest thing to like a mentor would be like reading Dalton's books. He has the closest theory to like what I talk about on stream. But I never took any of his courses or anything like that. I just read his books, right? How many years was I trading before full time? About 2 to 3. I went full time at a very good time. I got pretty lucky with like the timing. Bear flag and a VWAP possibility, 760 to 764. Filling in those single prints would line up with VWAP. I went full time in the giant explosion of crypto back in like 2016 to 2018. And then after that, we had a bad crypto market, but then we had a very good stock market, the 2020 market. So I had really good markets to get my trading in, right? Right after going full time. I don't recommend going full time for really anybody. I don't talk about like my trading journey because I did everything the wrong way. I quit my job. I dropped out of college. I went full-time crypto trading in a market that like was basically the wild, wild west at the time. I took a lot of risk, which is why now I preach to you guys that I am very risk adverse now. Because I feel like I took a shit ton of risk and I got a little lucky. Obviously, it takes a lot of hard work and hours. I don't want to take it all away from myself, but it was definitely a little bit of timing luck. Here's VWAP. Keep an eye on VWAP. Yeah, what I did, I do not recommend anybody does, so I don't talk about it. Mark, to be honest, I don't know shit about parts, man. I only know about like parts when I'm buying a new PC. So I don't know about like the older parts or anything like that, so I couldn't really help you, man. I do a massive amount of research when I'm buying a new PC to find out like what the best parts are at that time. I buy all the best parts, or relatively close to the best parts, and then I call it a day for 5 years. Okay, this is a very aggressive move back into VWAP. Typically, bear flags in a VWAP, you want them to be slow and steady. The aggressive ones... excuse me, the aggressive ones are typically more violent, and they're harder to trade as a bear flag. Because it's not exactly a bear flag, right? Bear flags are more of a flagging pattern. So be careful here. We'll see if we get that sell pressure on VWAP. By the way, single prints are filled in. Hey, Joe, have a good day, man. How many screens do I have? I have 3 27-inch screens and a mounted 35-inch. So it looks like this. I have 3 27 inches, like split up like this. And then I have a mounted 35-inch. This is the monitor that you guys are seeing. I have a bunch of charts on this monitor. This is for stream. This is half Discord and half my newsfeed. When I'm not streaming, this becomes charts as well most of the time, so I have like charts on all of these. But that's my setup. Whatever has better prices, man. If you have a micro center near you, they typically have the best prices. If you have to order it online, B&H is fantastic. The prices at B&H are insanely good, especially on laptops. But yeah, if you have a micro center near you, they typically have the best prices. They're just very rare. I don't think their prices are better than who I recommended, Jake. Very, very hard to beat those two that I recommended. If they are, then go with whoever you want. But the two that I recommend, their prices are insanely good. And I have no partnership with them. Turning into a capital B day here. Yeah, RAM's a very easy upgrade. It's very cheap as well. Hey, Scott, have a good day, man. Very one-directional day on the 1 minute. Whichever direction it's picking, it's sticking to that direction, holding above the ADMA, damn near one time framing the whole time. Yeah, micro centers are extremely rare. Not finding a ton of buy pressure above the session VWAP here. Not finding any, to be honest. Keep an eye on that session VWAP. If it can hold you down, you might be a bear flag in a VWAP. Yeah, speaking of laptops and stuff, I finally give you guys details on the laptop in this new video. I know you guys were asking about that. Most likely going to be coming from B&H or Micro Center. We'll see which one has a better option. But yeah, it's going to be a very powerful laptop. You guys will be happy if you win it. No, I did contact them and I made sure that it wouldn't be an issue if I'm shipping internationally. They said they ship internationally. If there is an issue, we'll work something out. We'll figure it out. But no, I did make sure I contacted them and they said it should not be an issue, but you never know, right? Keep an eye on the session VWAP here. This is the like dead middle of the day, so it's a little bit hard to say who's in control until we see the reaction here. So with a capital B day like we have here on the bottom right, you can see that capital B shape. The middle of the day is the most important because when they respond, when they bounce back or reject back into the middle of the day, you need to see who protects it. Is the reaction very quick back to the downside? Is it back to the upside? Whoever controls the middle of the day controls the day, right? So this reaction is extremely important. We need to see how they react on VWAP here. You have to think about the two magnets, right? There's a magnet above pulling us up, and a magnet below pulling us down. We don't know which one is in control until we see that reaction. Now, typically, the secondary node, the more recent node, is stronger. So in this case, the lower node has a slight bias. Because the price action is more recent, right? Okay, reaction so far is bearish, big bearish block trade. Over 1,000 contracts at 57, reacting to the session VWAP. When I'm looking for trading laptops, I'm usually in the gaming section because the gaming laptops are the ones that have the best parts usually. I'm sure creative probably has really good parts as well. But yeah, even if you're not a gamer, the gaming laptops are usually by far the strongest. They have the up-to-date parts and are usually priced the most close to like what you would pay for those parts. Same thing with computers, right? When you're looking at computers, usually the gaming computers are the ones that have the chunky parts. Oh yeah, they're definitely bigger, they're definitely heavier. They're not for, like, going to a coffee shop and lugging your gaming laptop around to trade. That's not what it's for. They're for building workstations out of them, like putting them on your desk and attaching monitors to them and stuff like that. And if you have to go on vacation, you can take it on vacation and have a solid system. It's not a MacBook, right? They're definitely not Tiny. I've never heard of them, DM. Like I said, the two companies I recommend are Micro Center and B&H. If it's not one of those, I don't buy from them. What is their actual name? It's like B&H Photo Video or something like that. Yeah, this is the one I'm talking about. So if you don't have a Micro Center near you, I would recommend them. Or Costco. Costco usually has good prices too. Alright, bear flag in a VWAP looks good. Like we always say with bear flags in a VWAP, you want one smooth motion. You do not want to see higher lows. You do not want to see it building a node. You don't want to see it countering that trend, right? You need it to be one smooth motion back down. Keep an eye on those EMAs. They need to be respected by the sellers. Yeah, Costco's got good prices as well, yep. Especially for monitors and stuff, if you want to buy those like Odyssey monitors and whatnot. Yeah, they do get hot. Gaming laptops for sure. Computers as well. My laptop's a heater. It's literally 77 degrees in my office right now because of my computer. It would be a lot better if I replaced my my processor. My processor runs hot. I literally don't need to have my vents on in my office during the winter. I can close all of my vents and my computer will heat the room enough. It's kind of ridiculous. It's quite literally a space heater. It's kind of nuts. Okay, there was a little bounce back there, but that's okay as long as it's holding those EMAs. EMAs are still holding. If you start threatening those EMAs, that's a problem. Yeah, it's liquid cooled. It just runs hot. Like here, give me a second, I'll pull it up. Let's see. My processor is currently running at 54 degrees Celsius. My GPU is running at 38 degrees Celsius. So whatever that is in Fahrenheit. $131 Fahrenheit. But that's reasonable. They're supposed to run at that temperature. It's not terrible. They're designed to run hot. Yeah, they max out at like 95 degrees Celsius. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, they're designed to run really hot. What's going on, Wesley? Yeah, Bitcoin mining, exactly. Yep. They get real hot. Yeah, it says my processor under heavy load, it can go above like 85 degrees Celsius and be okay. Like 60 to 85 is like normal heavy load. Usually when I'm trading, it's around like this. It's around like 50 to 60. Yeah, I'm using hardware monitor. I'm running an i9 13900K. This is one of the ones that they run hot. Like they were faulty when they were manufactured. I have changed a lot of the settings to make it not run super hot, but it still runs pretty hot. Yeah, back testing on NT, yeah, it does run it hot. What does yours usually run at, Jim? Like if you're like gaming or like heavy load, like doing a lot of work or whatever? Like right now, I'm streaming. I've got a ton of different programs open, like with my trading stuff. I've got Discord. I've got my news. I've got my YouTube stuff on. Like it's pretty much under heavy load right now. Just keeping an eye on these EMAs, guys. It is stalling a little bit here, which is a red flag. You do not want to see that, but it's not threatening anything just yet. Oh, your output is per core? Let me see what mine is per core. I don't think it gives me that. Yeah, it doesn't tell me per core. It averages 38. Yeah, that's real low. You probably don't have one of the bad ones. You probably have one of the good ones. My GPU is around that. It's around 38 to 40. It's pretty funny. I always assumed since I got this PC that it was the GPU pumping out all that heat and making my office really hot. But it was always the CPU. Okay, here's what I was talking about. It was threatening you, a little bit of a red flag, but look at the EMAs. The EMAs are still holding you down, so it's not breaking anything. It's just a thing that kind of wakes you up. You're like, okay, let me pay attention. Here comes that prior low. Basically, anywhere from here down to the actual prior low is a target. Yeah, the manufacturer says it should idle around 35 to 40, under load 60 to 80. I think mine's pretty normal. Okay, here is that target. Target being hit. The target for the bear flag and the VWAP is what I'm referring to. Pretty standard bear flag and a VWAP. Nothing really fancy about that one. You guys see what I mean about the capital B? The capital B, you need to see who protects the middle of the day, and that's exactly what we saw there. The middle of the day lines up perfectly with VWAP. The sellers protected VWAP, therefore that magnet on the bottom was pulling price back down into it. And now that we've confirmed that the lower node is the proper node, they are trying to push this value back lower. They're trying to extend the lower tail now. I can't really recommend parts, Wesley, because I haven't done any research in years. Because the last time I bought this PC was like 2 years ago. So I can't recommend parts. I would just do your research on that. But for companies, I would either go with Micro Center or B&H. Just passed my first 4 Apex accounts. Is awesome, man. Congrats. The bear flag and the VWAP was very clean, so I'm glad you caught that. That's a big trade, too. It's like 30 points. I just talked about this. I can't remember which video. Was it the second video? I think it was the market structure one. We just talked about this in the market structure video. Yeah, it's a lot of points on NQ. It's like 100 and something points. And do you guys see what I mean about this like zone right here? This probably scared a lot of you guys because it is getting choppy right here. And we want to see one smooth motion. We don't want to see that chop. So that was a red flag. But it didn't do anything. I talk about this a lot in the new series, the Becoming an Apex Trader series. I talk about like how things are giving you signs, but they're not really breaking structure. They're not really invalidating your trade. That was a warning sign there to make you pay attention, but it didn't even hold above the ADMA, so who cares? Here's that old point of origin, I believe, from yesterday. No, not yesterday, 2 days ago. On Monday. Hey, no problem, Sean. It was a little bit harder on NASDAQ because it failed the daily VWAP, and you normally want to watch that session VWAP. The session VWAP is typically stronger. You didn't quite get to the session VWAP on ES, but you got close enough. I think it missed it by a tick or two. Turning into a little bit of a 30-minute sweep, so keep an eye on that. That magnet, the lower node, pulling you back. At this point, we're just keeping an eye on the EMAs, keeping an eye on the candle highs, seeing if we are protected. But alright guys, I think that's a good note to call it on. I appreciate you guys being here. Be on the lookout, possibly that third video coming out today. I have to double check. I'm going to watch the final draft, see if there's any changes that need to be made. If there are changes that need to be made, it will come out tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. It might come out around the market close today, like 4 to 5 p.m. Just have your alerts set up. And if not, it'll be out tomorrow. But alright guys, appreciate you being here. Hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. I will be streaming in Discord the rest of the day. If you guys are in Discord, I'll see you guys there. If you guys are not in Discord, I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. If you guys want to support the channel, you can use code BREW on Apex. I don't know if they have a sale right now. Minimum will be 50% off. And all those will go to the giveaway as well. So if you sign up for any accounts, just be sure to hold on to those receipts and then send them my way for the giveaway on the Becoming an Apex Trader series. If you guys want to try out Addis, there is a trial down below. Just send me your details when you sign up on that Addis link. Just send me your email, and I'll send it to their team. They'll get it extended for 30 days. But alright guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you in Discord. Peace everybody.